Today I'm going to be showing you how to create some easy and colourful backgrounds using Brushos on your gel plate. Simple way of using Brushos that doesn't involve overloading your cardstock with too much water. These are the samples I make today. I'm going to clear them out of the way, get my gel plate out, and I'll show you how I did it. Before we begin printing, you're going to need to mix up your Brusho powders into liquid form. So for those of you that are not familiar with Brushos, they come in little pots. They're a dry powder watercolour pigment, and you can sprinkle them and then spritz water to create effects, but today we want them in liquid form to put on the gel plate. So I've just popped some into my palette here, which has little pots, and mixed them with water to create liquid watercolour. If you don't have a palette like this, then just a palette with wells in it, you can mix your individual colours up there, or indeed like on plastic tubs or something like that. I've just got a selection of colours here, and I'm going to be making some random backgrounds that we can then complete into a card with some stamped images. I've got a jar of water to wash my brush, and I'm just using a fan brush to apply the Brusho to my gel plate today. So I'm just going to wet the brush with some clean water, decide which colours I want to use, and just dip my brush in and splatter some colour onto the gel plate. I'm looking for a fairly even coverage, although the gel plate doesn't need to be completely covered in paint. I just want a sort of even distribution of colours. Rinsing my brush off in between different colours. I mean, you can play around with adding different colours in different areas. Maybe you want to add a darker colour around the edge. Let's put this violet around the edge. I'm going to use a deeper red as well as the scarlet. I think this is a crimson. And I think we'll use some of the lemon just in the middle. And then I'm going to take my piece of cardstock, and this is just some smooth white cardstock, and press it down onto the gel plate. Just gently and evenly pressing over the surface just to make sure there's no air bubbles. Now, as you can see, I've got quite a bit of white space here. I can add a little bit more colour to my gel plate and go back in again a second time. So I'm going to do that. Bit more of the yellow, the lemon, I think. Place my piece of card back down on the gel plate and press down to pick up the paint. And I'm happy with the coverage there. There's a little bit of white space in there, but that's fine. It's a nice background. I like the blending of colours. Now, if you've still got any paint on your gel plate, you can either dab it off onto another piece of paper or spritz with some water and clean it off. In this instance, my paint is all gone, so I can use whatever colours I want. This time I think I'm going to try some greens and browns. And I know I've got a leaf green and an emerald green mixed up. I'm working here on a wipeable surface because obviously this watercolour is going to splatter about a bit. I think I'm going to use a little Prussian blue. And I think we'll finish with some turquoise. Choosing colours that I think will blend nicely together. Again, taking a piece of smooth white cardstock, pressing down gently and firmly all over. And that's created really pretty background. Let's just dab up a bit of the excess that we've got left on the plate. And I'm quite happy with that as my background. I don't need to apply any more colour. I will just clean this off, spritz a little water on, and just wipe off with a paper towel. So I don't want that colour to contaminate my next print. You can also print onto watercolour cardstock. So let's choose some colours. Here, let's go for some nice autumnal colours. So we'll have the yellow, and scarlet, I have light brown. Actually, I think this one might be sandstone. This one's light brown. And let's pop a bit of crimson in as well for good measure. And I'm going to spritz a little water onto here. Watercolour paper is much more absorbent than the smooth cardstock and can absorb the colour more in its sort of dot form. So just by lightly misting, and not a huge amount, just a very light mist of water, will help that colour sort of move about and soak in to create more of a combined sort of background. So this is my watercolour cardstock. It's created a really pretty, subtle, mottled background. I want to do something again with these autumn colours, but maybe introducing a bit of green. So I'm going to leave that paint on there that's already on the plate. Just want to take a bit of that excess where it's pooled at the side. But I'm happy to leave that slight coating of sort of orange and browns. And I'm going to take the leaf green lemon. I'm going to add a little black. And a bit more of the sandstone. Again, the lightest mist of water. Take my watercolour cardstock. And gently press down. If you have any sort of pooling, you can just take a paper towel and just soak up some of that excess if you want to, although I'm going to be trimming these down to fit on a card anyway. So I'm going to clean the plate off, and I'm going to do just, I think, 2 more prints. I'm going to do another one on smooth cardstock and another one on watercolour. I think I'm going to go for blues and purples this time. So we've got the turquoise, I've got this bright blue that I think it might be Ost blue. This darker blue, which is a Prussian blue. And then the violet. Just a touch more turquoise there. I'll use my smooth card. And there we have a really pretty mottled background there. I'm going to leave that bit of blue on there. And apply the lemon. And the emerald green. And a little more of the Prussian blue. A light mist of water. And go in with my watercolour cardstock. And let's just take that excess off there. And that's created another really nice background. Now, one of the things you can do, if you want to add more texture to your print, for example, this print, it's very pretty, there's some nice colour mixing going on there, but say you wanted a little more texture, some more speckling. Once that's dried or almost dried, in this case it's almost dry, it's very slightly damp in the middle there, but pretty much dry, you can speckle some more Brusho onto your gel plate. Not as much as we did the first time, but just a very light covering. Take your print and press it onto the plate for a second time. And then this will pick up some extra colour and just create a bit of additional texture. And you can do this as many times as you want. But for now, I'm just going to clear these out of the way, and I'll come back with the prints, show you what prints we've made, and then I'll create some projects using them. So here are the prints that we've got. It's a nice blue and green mottled one on the smooth paper. This one that we did on the watercolour card, I love the way that the yellow graduates into the blue on that. This brightly coloured one, not my most favourite print, there's a lot of white space still in there really, but I'm going to cut that down and choose a part of that to show that, you know, don't discount a whole print. There are areas in there that you can use. This one's very pretty with its nice autumnal colours, and this sort of blue and purple one that we went in again to just add some extra texture. And then this one, even though there's very little definition, I do love the soft watercolour effect that we've got there. So I'm going to go away and just make some simple cards, just showing you how you can create cards with these backgrounds, and then I'll be back again. So I've made some simple cards just with some stamps and just matting and layering. You can spend as long as you need to on making your cards. I just wanted some quick ideas just to show you how you can use your gel prints in a finished project. So this one here was our smooth card we did in the blues and the purples, and we layered it up. And for this I have used a Paper Artsy rubber stamp. I've used this one here. This is 1903, the number. It's a Hot Picks one. And the sentiment comes from Lynn's Affirmations set 8 from That's Crafty. And I just thought that's a nice simple way to use that nice background there. The next one I've got here is using a Lavinia Stamps tree. This is the tree. It's called Celestial Tree. I do apologise for the glare. I've got the overhead light on. And I've stamped that onto the watercoloured background that we did with the watercolour card. And again, it's another one of Lynn's Affirmations. This is set 7. The words are from this time. Next up, we've got another one of the watercolour card backgrounds here, the one with the yellows, blues and greens. And I've used a few different stamps here. We have another of the Lavinia stamps. It's one of her fairies. I don't know the name of it, unfortunately, but you know, if you go onto Lavinia Stamps website, you'll find it on there. The music notes, which I have heat embossed in white, are from Visible Image. This is old packaging. If you look on their website in the music section, you will find it in the newer multicoloured packaging that they do. And the words Sing Your Beautiful Song, again, set 10 of the Lynn's Affirmations stamps from That's Crafty. I really love these sets for words. They're really, really useful. So just stamp that onto the top there. Next up, we have a little Halloween card. And this is Viva Las Vegas stamps, an unmounted rubber stamp that I've got with the little row of trick-or-treaters. And the words here are one of the Tim Holtz clippings from the Halloween set. This was our watercolour card background, the lovely oranges, reds and browns. Just a quick and easy card there. Very, very nice and simple one to make. Next up was our smooth card again with the blues and the greens, and I've used a couple of visible image sets here just to stamp this. We've got the You Are Not Alone, that's where I've got the hands and the sentiment from, and the Starburst, which I've embossed in white on there, is from the Rays of Light set. This again, old packaging. It is still available. Rays of Light is what you need to look for, and it has this sparkle effect on it. And finally, the background that I didn't particularly like, that was a bit too bright, a bit too blobby, there was some white space, I decided to stamp these feathers and die cut them. This is a set from Craft Stash here in the UK with the stamp and the dies, and I've just stamped this feather twice, die cut it out, and then using yet another set of stamps, this is Lynn's Affirmations set 9, just stamped the sentiment and matted it across the centre of the card there. But just a way of showing, don't disregard if you don't like the whole print. I'm sure there's a way of using it in a smaller way. So we have this beautiful one here, this card, our fun trick-or-treaters, our beautiful fairy, our autumn tree, and our moon night sky telescope card there. And I hope that's inspired you to have a go with your gel plate and some Brushos and create some backgrounds and just some ideas of how you can use them. Perfect for cards, perfect for tags, ATCs, die cut them, you know, there's lots of uses for these backgrounds. And I find it a nice way of using Brushos without having to pile too much water onto your cardstock, which can be a problem for some people when they sprinkle the Brushos on and then spritz with water. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back again next week with another video. But for now, that's all. Bye.
You're calling, I'm falling. Don't know what it is you do to me, yeah.